Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm making the replica of this dress, so I'd like to take you through the cutting process. It's actually a padded gown without half cuts. Let's get into the tutorial. Okay, before we go into the cutting process, if you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel, start liking, and please share the video so that others can get to see it and learn. Try to make your own. So if you are conversant with my video, you would have noticed I usually use 2.5 from the point of my shoulder slope, and I'm working on a pattern paper this time around because you can see the dress is actually a two pattern dress, so I'm also using a two pattern material for it, and that is why I have to do this on a pattern paper. If you are actually using a normal fabric without two pattern, you can still use your pattern paper. It's safe, it helps, it guides you, it helps you to do adjustments while cutting. So I'm using pattern paper anyway. So I mark my point for shoulder slope, which is 2.5. Then I mark my shoulder divided by 2, which is 7.5. I mark the same 7.5 downwards. Then I connect it with a straight line and give it a slight curve there. Next, I'm going to take 1 inch from the tip there for my shoulder slope. I'm connecting it. Okay, I would like you to subscribe if you are new to my channel. So I'm taking my bust span measurement now. The bust span measurement I'm using is 4.25. I'm taking this bust span measurement because the point where my bust span is crossing the shoulder slope will serve as the starting point. You can see that place. We start as the starting point for all my length measurements. So I'll be taking the length measurements now. So first I mark my bust point, that is the shoulder to the nipple point, which is 10.5. Next I mark the under bust over there, which is 13.5, the waist length, which is 16.5. So I'm just going to make these lines or this point visible with an horizontal line. I'll be using a different shade of marker for clarity. So I'm marking my point now, indicating it with a straight line. That's the bust line. That's the shoulder to nipple point, which is the bust line, my under bust line, and then lastly the waist line. So I just want to label it. I label that part as my chest line. Please label it as your bust line. It is the bust line. The chest line is actually the point for my armhole, please. So when you are doing yours, don't make a mistake of marking it as your chest line. It is actually the bust line because that is where the bust circumference will be. So I mark 7.5 for my waist line. I mark down 7.5, which will serve as the hip depth, as the shoulder to the hip line. So I mark that point as well, and then I label it as my hip line. I'll be marking my full length. Remember, all measurements start from where the bust span is crossing the shoulder slope. Don't start your measurement above the point of the shoulder slope. It will affect the length. So you have to start from where your bust span is crossing your shoulder slope. So I have my full length of the gown, and then I have little excess down there which I will label as my hemline or seam allowance at the lower part, or folding allowance, whichever way you like to call it. So now that I have my shoulder slope, I have my bust line, my under bust line, waist line, hip line, my full length, and then the hemline. I'm going to continue with my bust span measurement. Remember, I only take it 1 or 2 times to determine where to mark my length, but now I want to take it all through to the hemline, 4.25 all through. If you are enjoying this video, kindly give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. We need your support. So I'm connecting this with a straight line, straight all the way down. Having connect this, I want to mark my bust measurement. Remember, I always work with bust allocation when I'm sewing for adults. So the front bust for this dress is 10.25. So I'm marking this 10.25 all through to the waist, irrespective of the fact that the waist and the under bust is different from the bust line. I still mark this 10.25. So I'm connecting this with a straight line. You may be wondering if the person's shape is straight. No, it is actually to get an accurate measurement for our bust or for our padded dress. Next, I'm going to take the actual measurement for the under bust. The actual measurement for the under bust is 8.75. So I mark the 8.75. You can see that the under bust is different from the bust measurement. Then I mark the point for the waist as well, which is 9.5. Sorry, 9.25 for the waist circumference. Now I'm going to check the difference between the actual bust and the under bust. It gives me 1.5. When I divide by 2, I have 0.5. So I'm taking 0.75 on both sides. 0.75 is 3/4 inch, somewhere very close to 1 inch, but not up to 1 inch. I also mark the distance between the waist and the actual bust that I have there, which is 1 inch. Divided by 2, I have 0.5. So I'm going to take this 0.5 on both sides of the bust span measurements. Having marked this, I'm going to work on the bust point. I want to come down by 1/2 inch from the bust point, 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to connect this 1/2 inch to each side of the under bust with my curve ruler. Just ensure that you place your curve ruler properly. You can see the way I placed mine. With this, you are going to get an accurate padded dress. Then with my straight ruler, I connect to the waist. Now at this point, if the dress is going to have an half cut, you can just cut out at this point. But this dress is not having an half cut, so I'm just going to connect this into the bust spine line on the hip. You can see that I connect it down to the hip measurement. So we are almost done with the front bodies of the dress. My hip measurement now, I want to input my hip measurement. It is 10.5. So I'm going to have my 10.5 there. The hip is not so much different from the bust because we are using bust allocation and hip allocation. The hip allocation makes the hip at the front to be smaller, and then the bust allocation makes the bust at the front to be bigger. So you can see that is not so different from each other. It is 10.5 for the hip while the bust is 10.25. So I connected it with a slight curve. Now I'm marking my half length. The half length of this dress is 35. I still start the measurement from the bust span measurement where it is crossing the shoulder slope, where I've been taking all my length. That is the same place I took it from. So I have my hip divided by 4 minus 1 inch. That gives me 10 inches. So with my curve ruler again, I slightly connect it to the half length of the gown. And then I'm going to mark the same measurement at the full length and connect it with my straight ruler. Wow, our dress is almost ready to be cut. In our next tutorial, I'm going to show you how to cut the back measurement, although you are going to see some part of the back measurements, but I won't be explaining the back in this tutorial. Remember, I picked my shoulder slope after drawing my shoulder armhole line. So I'm going to extend this to bring back the actual measurement of my armhole depth. And then I'm going to find the midpoint of my armhole depth, which is 3.75. And there I mark half inch. Please, when you are doing yours, mark 1 inch. So I'm going to be connecting these points together from the half inch, which I'm going to correct much later, to the armhole depth and the starting point of my armhole where the shoulder slope ends. Okay, so if you are enjoying this tutorial, kindly hit the like button, hit the notification bell so that you can get notified when I upload new videos. Subscribe if you are new to the channel. Share with your friends. Comment if there's anything you want me to do. Kindly put in the comment section. So this is what we have after drafting the pattern. I have the back bodice draft on the other side, but I won't be explaining to reduce the length of this video. We will have that in our next tutorial. So I cut out where I use as my border, and I'm cutting out just the parts for the front bodice now. Notice that there are no allowance on the sides of this dress. All allowances will be added on the fabric. You can see where I have my correction of the armhole. I change it to 1 inch instead of half inch. So having cut out this, at this point I'm supposed to be having a bust dart. Every female dress that is fitted must have a bust dart, but I don't want to be having a bust dart. I'm just going to transfer my dart to the upper part of the dress, and this is going to give me a shoulder dart. I'm using 1.5 for my dart, so I have 0.75 to both sides, and then from the bust point I come up by 1 inch. So from this 1 inch I connect to the 0.5 0.75 on this side and 0.75 on the other side. The two 0.75 give us 1.5. So that means our bust dart is 1.5 inch. So I'm cutting all the way from the down to the upper part, and then I'm going to do the same thing. Notice that from your hem line or from your full length, it is just straight until you get to the hip where you start having your slight darts. So guys, we have come to the end of this tutorial. If you enjoy it, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to like, share and comment in the comment section. I hope to see you in my next tutorial. Have a wonderful time. Bye.